attacking Germany's ally Turkey to open a new front in the war. When the Navy discovered that Turkish mines and well-positioned shore artillery made it impossible to force the strait, British generals compounded the disaster by putting tens of thousands of men ashore in an attempt to destroy the Turkish batteries and to safeguard the sea passage from the land. They had underestimated both the difficulty of the terrain and the quality of the Turkish army. British and Allied soldiers had to fight their way out of the sea and then scale cliffs and hillsides in the face of well-established Turkish machine gun positions. After the best part of a year of misery, British commanders admitted defeat. Captain Attlee was one of the officers in charge of the evacuation of the peninsula. The retreat from Gallipoli was the only successful part of the entire operation. The family never learned precisely what killed Uncle Charlie. Was he machine-gunned to death? Was he one of the thousands who'd been weakened by the dysentery and typhoid that quickly spread among the men, pinned down in disgusting conditions in the gullies below the enemy machine guns for days on end? The memory of some others who died there, bakers' sons from the Orkneys, gardeners and footmen from the Royal Estate at Sandringham, the almost 500 men of the Dublin Fusiliers, or the son of the Vicar of Deal who won the Victoria Cross for repeatedly wading ashore under fire to rescue wounded men from the beaches, has been kept more conscientiously alive. The deaths of over 11,000 Australian and New Zealand soldiers at Gallipoli are venerated as a sacred part of their nation's histories. By contrast, all I know about Uncle Charlie is contained in an old, brown, broken-sided cigar box found among my mother's effects when she died in 2009. She never smoked cigars, so presumably it was passed to her, complete with most of its contents. Inside, at the top of the small bundle of documents and effects, was the paper every family dreaded to receive, Army Form B-104-82. Uncle Charlie must have made it clear when he signed up that his mother, Florina, was a widow, for the printed Sir with which the form begins has been scored out and replaced with a handwritten Madam. The impersonal tone resumes with the printed sentence, "It is my painful duty to inform you that a report has this day been received from the War Office notifying the death of," and here the colonel in charge of Medical Corps Administration at Aldershot has inserted into the blank spaces Uncle Charlie's name, rank and number, adding, "Number 34 Field Ambulance of the Mediterranean Expeditionary Force," in the space left blank for his unit. "The cause of death was," and here an entire line of the form is left empty, which the colonel has made no attempt to fill, just writing the single, unilluminating word, wounds. Personal effects, the form states, will be sent on later. Lying underneath it in the cigar box is another form, apparently signed by the War Secretary Lord Kitchener. "The King commands me to assure you of the true sympathy of His Majesty and the Queen in your sorrow. Kitchener." Inside a cardboard tube is another mass-produced letter of condolence, a sheet of paper bearing the printed signature of the King, commemorating Private Charles Edmund Dixon for having joined those who had answered their country's call and passed out of the sight of men by the path of duty and self-sacrifice, giving up their own lives that others might live in freedom, and demanding that his name not be forgotten. A thick card envelope contains a dead man's penny, a heavy bronze plaque about the size of a tea saucer, decorated with a robed Britannia holding a trident in one hand and a garland in the other, with a growling lion at her feet. It's inscribed with Uncle Charlie's name and the words, "He died for freedom and honour." There is more in the box. 2 days before Christmas 1920, Florina received another printed form, this time accompanying a medal, the 1914-15 Star, quote, which would have been conferred upon Private C. Dixon had he lived, unquote. In September 1921, 6 years after her son's death and